What's up and welcome to Joe's Coral Reef. This video is about the software I use to design my next build and some of the iterations I went through. I'm also going to briefly talk about how the software is used, some of the different features, just so you get an idea. Maybe it's something you want to use on your next build. It's very similar to like an AutoCAD or a SolidWorks. You know, you can make these three-dimensional models, rotate them, add stuff, measure it, put different materials on there, to give you an idea of what you're going to build so you don't have to, it's not trial and error. When you go to build something, you know exactly how it should go together because you've already conceptualized it. So let's just kind of go through this software, this SketchUp Make. It's best thing, it's free, which is really cool. So just to start off, here's the selection tool. You can select around in the model and you'll notice things are highlighted in blue. And what I've done is I've made things components, and then within the component I've made groups. So like the tank in the top here is a component. So if you right click on it, you can edit this component. And then when you go into the component and you select things, these are groups. So then you can edit a group, which would be just this front panel. If you edit info or entity info, and then you can come over here and you could select different materials. So say I wanted to make the front of my tank diamond plate, I could do that. So that's how I design or use this, made different components out of everything. And the reason I did that is so I could hide the tank and I could work on the stand, or I want to hide the stand and work on the tank. And then I could copy these components to different models as I kind of went along. This is an eraser. You can erase stuff. Drawing lines, arcs, squares, and a lot of these, how I made these, drew a square. You don't have to just draw it to a rough size. If you notice in this lower right corner, there's dimensions. You could just type in the size. You want 2x2 or 2x3. And then this is the push-pull, so you just pull it out. Same thing, I could say 1.5 inches. It makes it 1.5 inches. And then I could grab a material, put a material on there. Maybe I want to make it, where's the glass? There's the glass. All right, I want to make it transparent. I could make it transparent. I can make some of it or all of it transparent. This is a measuring tool. You just select. See how it's telling me on the edge of the group. Move it all the way over. Tells me my dimension. This is a labeling tool. This one. This is a fill tool. You want to fill certain materials. This allows you to pan or rotate the tool. Is it orbit? So I'm not changing any of the dimensions. I'm just changing my perspective, right? I'm moving around the model. That's all I'm doing. You can zoom. Say I want to zoom into something. Here, let's get to a better view. And then this is zoom out all. So let's change this. Let's delete this. Delete. And one of the coolest features of this is the warehouse. So you go into the warehouse and you can search for something. Here I had searched for skimmers, and you could download this, and this is something somebody else has already done, and you're downloading that into your model. So here I've downloaded the bubble magnet skimmer. Let's say I want to rotate it. Just select a couple points. Rotate. It's not exact. I'm just kind of rushing through this, right? And then I could move it. Let's say we move it into the tank. Right? Just to give you an idea. So that's kind of how the tool works. That's the basics of the software SketchUp Make. So let's kind of, let's kind of go through my design. So my first design, what I wanted to do is create an all-in-one. I really like the all-in-one design. It's very simple, very easy for me to access everything. So I had a large tank. I was going to do an overflow. This gray piece here is what I wanted to run all the electrical wires through. So you wouldn't see anything draping over the side of the tank. No dosing lines, nothing. So this area here was going to be the fuge. Oops, so panel in there, and this area was going to be where I kept the skimmer, media reactors. There's a heater. There's my return pump. Just a nice all-in-one, very large. I wanted a cabinet with this electrical conduit. I love this electrical conduit stuff. Right, for all the electrical stuff. And then I was going to have a dosing area. And my idea was 2 separate tanks. One tank for an ATO and one for water change. It's got a goofy pattern on there. I was playing around with it. I think I put in the glass block pattern in there. You could kind of see it. So this was kind of my first design. You know, I didn't want to put a sump in there. I was worried about water overflowing and all that types of stuff. I did a lot of iterations on this design, and then I eventually thought, you know what? I'm just going to do a sump. So here I put a 40-gallon breeder, and I had these 2 drop-in acrylic units I was going to make. Right, one would have a return line with some filter socks, and then the other one you could put a pump and then the line out, and they would just sit on the inside of that 40-gallon breeder. So I didn't have to glue anything in the breeder. It was just drop in and go. The electrical panel for all the electrical equipment, some dosers, and then the stand. I thought I would make it out of this 1x4 solid front biscuit joint, these pieces, and then the top, sides, bottom, and back all out of plywood. I've done them before, very durable, very solid stands. So this was my idea. And then I started looking around, and I started seeing these stands out of this 80/20 extruded aluminum, and I thought, wow, that is awesome. So then I started playing around with designs with the 80/20, and then, you know, pricing the 80/20, adding a foot here, a foot here, is really not that much. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to go through all the trouble and design this 80/20 stand, I might as well make it a little bigger so I can put a bigger sump underneath here. And then that gives me an area on top to put buckets, test kits, you know, as I'm cleaning, maintenance equipment, just somewhere to put stuff. If you've ever been to the 80/20 website, it has some really cool calculators that will allow you to figure out what size extrusion you should kind of use. It won't tell you exactly, but it will give you, you know, I've got 900 pounds sitting on here. I've got a span from here to here of 4 feet. You're expecting this to deflect 1/4 of an inch. You know, you have to determine, hey, is that enough? Or do I need to go to a larger extrusion, right? They're not going to, I think for liability reasons, if you call 80/20, they're not going to tell you, hey, this works on aquarium stands. They'll say, you know, with this weight, you'll get this much deflection. Then it's up to you to make that design decision. So I really like this 80/20 stuff. I was going to use a 55-gallon sump. Just to give you an idea, as I started laying out the sumps, which is really cool, is, you know, you just measure stuff. Hey, here's my skimmer. This is the area for my baffles. I want this much for whatever. Here's my Chaeto, my macroalgae, right? This SketchUp allows you to do that. You can kind of see it. It's really cool. So this is very close to the final design. I did a lot of different iterations on this design. Same tank, 48/24/20. The Synergy Reef Overflow. The top, I started looking around for different tops, and I found butcher block top at Menards, 1.5 inches thick, for a very good price. And then I cabinet doors to cover everything. You can see the 80-20 stand. So let's take a look inside. So what we'll do is we just select it, right click, hit hide. So all those doors are one component, so it hides all the doors. And you can kind of see what I was thinking. So again, I want all my electrical stuff in one area. I want to keep it dry. I have the bottom open for ventilation. I have electrical, I think it's conduit, to hide all the wires. And then I want to mount all the modules and power bricks and everything on DIN rails. Right? So I don't have to keep screwing anything out of there. I just clip it in. Kind of look, I designed a Synergy Reef Overflow for the back. Right? Unions, you always want unions. There's a plumbing going into the tank. I want an outlet on the back. In case I'm doing a water change or I have a pump or something I want to put in here temporary, I've got a switch and some electrical plugs so I can turn it on and off. I'd also like an area to hang all my tools, right? Scraper, tweezers, and then, I don't know what that is, there's some extra fittings hanging around down there, whatever. The wires coming through the back, I've got one of these plastic, it's like a large grommet to keep it nice and organized. Behind one of the doors, I want all my control boxes in case I need to adjust something, turn it off for feeding, and then my sump area. And because my tank is bigger, right, my stand's a little bigger, I can use this full width of this to make a really big sump. I have about, when I calculate, about 35 gallons in this area here because I want to do the Triton method. So I want a lot of algae, and I want, I've got, if the tank's about 100 gallons, I got like 35% for algae. A lot, right? Maybe some miracle mud. You never know. Also thought of the baffle, putting the teeth so the little pieces don't always come through into here. A little catch here. Then I could put some filter floss if I'm trying to clean the water or whatever. So I laid it out. I gave myself enough area from the skimmer I thought I was going to use. I put some reactors in there. Maybe I'm going to put some reactors just to get an idea. This is how I'm going to run the plumbing. I laid out the plumbing. Probably the hardest thing of all this is like these dosing lines. Getting these turns in here is very difficult in SketchUp. I'm sure there's an easier way, but ATO container, dosing containers, and I also wanted to leave enough area that if I really wanted to, I could fit a calcium reactor in here. I've got a shelf for the Profilux. The dosers are going to come in through this door. Another thing I'm always thinking about is underneath. I hate when you spill water on the ground and you can't get to it. So with 80-20, I was able to use these really large leveling feet. They can support up to 3,500 pounds, and it gives me, an area under the tank that if I need to dry it out, I can. The tank's just not sitting on the ground. So this is kind of what I've thought of my final design. 20. Okay. So this is the software I used, SketchUp. Those were kind of the design iterations I went through. This is the tank I want to build. The build videos will follow me putting this all together. We'll see how it works. If you have any questions, leave them below. You dislike it, you want a thumbs down, let me know below. Subscribe. I appreciate you watching my video. Thank you very much. See ya.